Wechter, Dwayne Stats, great to have you aboard. Well, spring training, a time of new beginnings. But, Doug, for the Rays, it's also a time where they understand there's some unfinished business from 99 wins and a great season last year.
Yeah, and they understand that they have a chance to go out there and do even better this year, going into the playoffs, making a big run. And it all starts here in spring training, this beautiful day that you just talked about. And there's going to be some new faces that they're going to rely on this year. And that's a little bit different from where they were last season. A season ago, they had pretty much penciled in the entire lineup and roster in spring training. But going out this season, there's some open spots. And there's going to be some young faces trying to get into those open spots and see if they can make opening day.
There will also be some familiar faces, and one of them with unfinished business would be Randy Arozarena. A great first half, and Randy stronger than ever as he comes into spring training. He wants to make sure that that second half can be as good as his first half.
Well, you pegged it right there. I mean, he's coming off of his first All-Star appearance in Randy Arozarena, having a monster first half. 58 RBI and 16 home runs in that first half. But you're right, Dwayne. The second half was not as strong. Only 7 home runs in that second half. And it was a focus for Randy going in this offseason. He noticeably put on a lot of weight, 15 pounds of muscle coming into spring training. Very excited to see where all this power is going to carry him throughout the first half and hopefully throughout the second half as well.
Always fun to get it started. A brand new season, a brand new year. The Rays in spring training, and we'll have the first pitch. Rays and the Yankees coming up in just a moment. Here, the Yankees have played 4 games in the spring. They come in 3-1. The Rays with 3 games under their belts, including a tie. Afternoon, Zach Littell, we get a look of him in the dugout right now, just coming in from the bullpen as he got loose, ready to make this start. And the Rays are figuring he's going to be a big part of their rotation as we take a peek into that New York dugout. And a lot of young faces there. We're going to see Anthony Volpe, who was so good at shortstop last year for them. And he will represent the veteran core of this Yankee ball club today with their young lineup. In the meantime, there is Zach Littell headed to the hill.
Yeah, Zach Littell coming off of a really strong year, looking to be a big part of this rotation this year. 28-year-old right-hander, pitched to a 4.10 ERA a season ago, 28 games. 14 of those were starts and 14 relief appearances. And the crazy thing is, Dwayne, he started as a reliever last year. First 14 appearances, all in relief, had a 6.75 ERA. And then he turned into the rotation, got the ball every 5 days, and really found a nice groove. 14 starts, had a 3.41 ERA and 56 punch-outs. So this is the kind of guy who goes out there, attacks the hitters, loves to put the hitters on their heels, and start with first pitch strike. So it should be a lot of fun to watch.
And there's Aaron Boone.
There he is.
He was, like a number of folks, a late arrival here at the ballpark. A little backup on the interstate, but Aaron Boone is here to manage this New York lineup. And there's Kevin Cash, the Rays manager, all set to go to work. Rays starting this spring with 76 players in the Major League camp, 34 non-roster invites. So there will be a lot of evaluation going on. Brandon Lau, a very familiar figure out there at second base, and Josh Lowe out there in right.
Yeah, going to be excited to see Josh Lowe, what he can do out in right field. No, not only defensively, but at the plate. I mean, this is a guy who had a monster season a year ago, and, you know, he's coming in, and they're hoping he can at least repeat, if not even take a step forward.
Yeah, there are a lot of people think that what we saw last year was only the beginning of what could be an outstanding career for that young man. All set to play baseball. Zach Littell out there. Anthony Volpe leading it off, and the first pitch is foul right back. So we are underway. The Rays and the Yankees. First pitch at 7 minutes past the hour.
Yeah, it is a beautiful day, isn't it, Dwayne?
Absolutely gorgeous. Yeah. It's fouled back. One of those days where it might be a little difficult to get a perspective on fly balls and pop-ups as you try to measure a high sky. You can see a few scattered white clouds near the horizon, and that's about it.
Yeah, high sky, a lot of wind. You see the flags blowing out hard to left field. Today, you definitely want to try to keep the ball down.
A little tapper foul right there. You can see there with the flag blowing out toward left center field. So if you get one up in that breeze, that might help a hitter or two from the right side.
Yeah, it seems like a trend every spring training we see, especially early in spring. This time of year in Florida, a lot of wind. Get up in that wind tunnel, it'll fly. And as a pitcher, you know, that's always the first thing I used to check, right? Check the environment, check the wind. And a wind blowing out like this, that's when my heart rate started really going, Dwayne.
Fly ball into right. Lifted toward the line, and that's Josh Lowe to make the catch, and Volpe is out number one to start this one.
Go ahead and set the defense for you. For the Tampa Bay Rays, in the outfield, left to right, Randy Arozarena. Johnny DeLuca, the center fielder, Josh Lowe over in right field. And then third to first, Curtis Mead, your third baseman, Jose Caballero. At short, Brandon Lau at second, Yandy Diaz at first base, and Rene Pinto is going to be your catcher.
And Austin Wells, the New York catcher, takes a strike. Wells, 23 years old. He was a first-round pick by New York in the 2020 draft out of the University of Arizona, where the bottom fell out right there. Nice pitch by Littell, and the count is 0-2.
Yeah, that was a nice split finger right there. One of his best pitches. That's actually his best weapon when he's looking for the swing and miss.
And he gets a swing and miss, and the bottom falls out again. So 2 up and 2 down to begin this one.
Yeah, 22 strikeouts on that pitch alone, that split finger. You can see why right here. Look at the depth. Starts middle, and then just drops off the table. Really hard for left-handers and right-handers to handle that pitch. And Zach Littell looks like he did all last year. Pounding the strike zone, getting ahead early, getting the swing and miss when he needs it.
Here's Everson Perea, the left fielder. In the third spot. Two and 0, the pitch staying up. Littell 28. And he finds the zone right there. 2-1. Chris Siegel calling the balls and strikes. And the 2-1. One by him. 2-2. Well, you're right about Littell. I mean, handful of pitches here, and it's as if he's 2 or 3 months into the season.
He's just so efficient. One of the things I really liked about Littell is even when he went from the bullpen to the rotation, he didn't really change a lot about his game, including the fact that he's still pitching from the stretch.
A foul and out of play. Yeah, that delivery he has out of the stretch. The simpler you can keep it, the better.
Yep. Simple, compact. It's a pitching coach's dream because it's so repeatable. And that's why he's in the zone the entire time with all 5 of his pitches.
That one stayed up in a bit. So the count is full. That's a good look at him.
Yeah, it's a great look. And, you know, a lot of times a bullpen guy will go to the rotation. All of a sudden he wants to start throwing out of the windup and start adding different things. Well, Littell just keeps it simple.
And he gets this one by Perea, strikes him out. 2 strikeouts in the inning. Bottom of the first coming. Rays coming in to hit in the bottom of inning 1. No score. 1-2-3 top of the first for Zach Littell. And the Rays will have Yandy Diaz leading off again. At first, followed by Brandon Lau, and then Randy Arozarena. Down the middle of the lineup, Josh Lowe, Harold Ramirez at DH, and the third baseman, Curtis Mead. Johnny DeLuca's in center, hitting 7th. Jose Caballero, the shortstop, the number 8 hitter, and Rene Pinto doing the catching, batting 9th.
On the New York Yankees side of things, Clark Schmidt taking the mound, 28-year-old right-hander. Had a pretty solid year last year, 9-9 with a 4.64 ERA and 32 starts. Did have a full season in those 32 starts. Got up to 159 innings pitched. He can get a lot of strikeouts, 149 punch-outs last season. He'll run at about 93, 95 miles an hour.
Well, here is the first pitch, and Yandy takes it for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. The other way, foul. 1-1. Of course, Yandy winning the batting title. Well, you do the things he did a year ago, and it's people talk about him repeating that season. I mean, tough to do. He's going to be good. He's an outstanding hitter and a big part of this ball club. But you do it once, win the batting title. Now do you do it again?
Yeah, it's very hard to go out there and repeat. There's only a handful of guys that can do that. But Yandy Diaz just has been so good ever since putting on that Rays uniform. I mean, every single year, even the years he didn't win the batting title, he's been so good at the plate and such a big part of this offense.
Popped up right side, and that's going to be a fair ball. That wind carried it a few more feet fair than anticipated, and Rojas down there at first base made the catch.
Well, that's that high sky we were talking about in the wind, both playing a factor, but Rojas able to make that play right there. I'll set the defense. Well, we got a little bit of time here. You would see that high sky. Left to right in the outfield, Everson Pereira, your left fielder. Center fielder, Spencer Jones. In right field, Oscar Gonzalez. Left to right. On the infield, third to first, Oswaldo Cabrera. Anthony Volpe, your shortstop. Jorbit Vivas, your second baseman. Jose Rojas making that play right there. And Austin Wells is going to be catching.
Brandon Lau at the plate fouls that first pitch off. And boy, the Rays would love to see Brandon Lau and that bat stay healthy all year, because we all know what he could mean to a lineup on an everyday basis with his offense.
He is just such a big factor when he is healthy and he is rolling. You know, he's a guy who can go out there and pound the ball out of the field. I mean, consistently pound the ball and put up big home run numbers. And so for him to be healthy and put together, I mean, last year you look at it, he only played in 109 games. You're just looking to get him up to that 130, 140 mark. And if he can do that and put together a full season, I mean, he has 30 to 40 home run potential.
Yeah, 21 home runs in those 109 games a year ago. And you're right about that 30 home run potential. 2-2 the count. On that outside edge right there. So Schmidt just picking up that strike zone away and picks up his first strikeout.
Yeah, I mean, look, Clark Schmidt's a good pitcher, and that right there was a really nice sequence that he threw up against Brandon Lau. And it was a cutter on the outside corner. That's really his number one pitch. He'll throw it about 28% of the time. Sit around 90, 91 miles an hour.
And Arozarena, after the first pitch, skies it on the infield and out from second base. Yes, makes the catch. And so Arozarena is out number 3. Be sure and claim your share of the Rays 50-50 charity raffle jackpot. Proceeds support youth programming around Tampa Bay. You could win big, support the community. Visit rays5050.com.
A lot of sunshine out there, Dwayne.
And a couple nice hat shots right there.
Was this Kentucky Derby?
I'll tell you, that's the place to be out there on the berm today with the proper headgear.
Yeah, I agree. I went down there just for a minute to go grab something from a concession stand. And I didn't bring my sunglasses. And I'll tell you what, it is bright. No clouds in the sky. This is like a perfect spring training day, isn't it?
Yeah, and you can see the ice cream stand, the ripple there, just a little
just tempting
breeze.
you. Isn't it just tempting you?
Oh, of course. 2-1 to count on Oswaldo Cabrera. There you go. Look at that.
Look at the boys in the truck. Oh, boy. That's not what I need right now.
We might see a couple of
Trying to start
guys
the year
from
out
the truck
healthy, you know what I mean? Don't worry about the sausage that I have right next to me.
3-1. Yeah, topped with all kinds of exotic mustard on that.
Yes. You know, they played a trick on me. I thought I was getting the regular mustard. It was the honey mustard.
Well,
that first bite was something else.
We're fouling it back, and the count is full. 3-2. All spring training baseball.
You know, spring training was always one of my favorite parts of the year. Back when I played, I mean, we were at Al Lang Stadium, but, you know, in the Florida State League and seeing these same stadiums, or a lot of the same stadiums.
A little chop. Littell with the underhanded toss to Yandy over at first. Cabrera is out of there.
You know, it was just a great experience every year, coming out here and trying to win a spot. Feeling healthy, right? Everybody feels healthy coming into camp. Or as healthy as you can be coming out of a nice off season. Your focus is fresh.
And here's Jose Rojas, the first baseman, taking a strike. Well, that's one of the things about spring. I mean, even if a player is coming off a down year, an injured year, you come to camp in the spring and everything is in front of you. You're looking forward, looking to make progress one way or another.
Kind of hit the reset button, right? Go out there.
Right back over the mound, and behind the bag at second, the shortstop Caballero positioned perfectly. Meade was way off that third base line. Caballero right up the middle. I mean, here's a guy, Rojas. You got a scouting report on him?
I guess they do.
Well, they apparently do.
They apparently do. I tried to Google his name. I couldn't find it. But, yeah, how about the fact that they're able to still go out there, play the shift, do everything they can. There's so much knowledge in the game right now of your opponent.
Oscar Gonzalez, the right fielder, looking at a strike.
Meanwhile, Caballero making that play right there. He's one of the players that I'm interested to see this year.
That's lined into left for a base hit. And Gonzalez will make the turn and hold it first. That's first hit of the game.
There he is, Jose Caballero. You know, when the Rays acquired him, I thought he was a really good fit. Very athletic, and I feel like over the last 3 to 4 years, not that they didn't do this prior, but especially the last 3 or 4 years, the Rays have really been trying to acquire athletes. You know, those utility athletes that can play anywhere on the diamond defensively, good base runner, put the ball in play. And that's what you get out of Caballero.
Spencer Jones, the center fielder, from the left side up there. 1-0 the count on him. And it's a 1-1 count now. Well, you like the pace set by Zach Littell and what he's been able to do so far in this first outing of the spring.
Just continue to pound the strike zone. He is always in attack mode, and that is just such an uncomfortable at bat for a hitter.
Upstairs, it's 2-2.
You know, starting every single at-bat from what it seems like in an 0-1 count, because Littell is so good at first pitch strikes. He threw 69% first pitch strikes last season. Major League average is only 60%.
Foul ball holds the count right there.
And you know what else? I mean, Dwayne, the pace is so good for his defense also, right? Defense is always anticipating the ball in play. There's no really point in the game where it's dragging. I mean, he gets the ball, he goes. It's not only just throwing strikes, but the pace in between pitches.
That's pulled foul. Count still 2-2. Yeah, that seems to go hand in hand. You know, one helps the other that way. A good defense, athletic, and then the quick pace set by the pitcher. Right now, Littell battling Spencer Jones, he was picked out of Vanderbilt University a couple years ago. And a lot of people think he's the #1 Yankee prospect right now. Full count.
Yeah, I was watching him pretty close in BP, and I mean, you're talking about easy power. He's a guy that you're going to see for the Yankees for a long time coming. You see a close pitch right there. Good eye. Looked like it might have been just a touch up.
He's a big guy up there, 6'6", better than 230. And he fouls it back. Not quite as big as Aaron Judge. There have been some in New York who would tout him as a left-handed version of Aaron Judge. I mean, that's a lot to
that's a lot to right
hang
there.
on a young player right there.
That really is. I mean, to say he's the equivalent of a left-handed, one of the best players and hitters in the game right now, that's a lot to put on his shoulders.
And that will be strike 3, dropped in there for out number 3. No runs, a hit, and the man left. When we come back, Josh Lowe will lead it off for the Rays. We are scoreless through an inning and a half. Sign up your little slugger for the Rays Rookies Kids Club presented by Suncoast Credit Union for just $40. The MVP membership includes a free kids meal at every home game and discounts on tickets. So join today at RaysBaseball.com/RaysRookies.
It's a good way to spend a weekday right there. Come out, watch the Rays take on the New York Yankees.
And they are facing Clark Schmidt today. Josh Lowe will open the home half of the second, followed by Harold Ramirez and then Curtis Mead. Which is too low.
Well, I was so impressed with what Josh Lowe did last year. Just the improvements he made. You know, he did go out there, change a couple things in his swing mechanics, and it really paid off. Lowered his hands, added the ability to get to the fastball a little bit more frequently, just hit under 300 off the fastball alone, and he's always been really good against secondary pitches. He just put a complete year together.
And the Rays feel there's even better things to come from him. 2-0 is skied the other way. Wind is blowing out toward the left, and that one's going to fall over the head of the left fielder onto the track, and Lowe's going to wind up at second base. Well, a little problem with that fly ball in the wind by Everson Pereira out there. And here's a look at that high sky, and then with the wind blowing.
Well, you can see it was trouble right off the bat. Right there, you can tell he lost it just a little bit. The ball kept carrying. You see the wind. You see those flags in the background. I mean, that wind is blowing very, very hard. And for Pereira, that was just a tough play and just missed it.
Well, here's Harold Ramirez taking a strike. So Josh Lowe is going to get a double out of that.
Yeah. He'll take it.
Down and around the corner, but he missed, and it's 1-1. So the Rays with their first scoring opportunity.
Dwayne, what do you think about that? Think they should have given him a double there, or you think it could have been an error? I mean, I know the old golden rule is that you basically have to touch the ball, right, to make it an error, but
yeah, I think that factors into it. The only other thing, you know, it's tough luck for the pitcher, no question about
right.
that.
Well, that's what I'm always thinking of, right?
Of course, and I fully understand your point of view. This one is upstairs, 2-2.
Well, I mean,
but it's almost like you know, a wind-blown home run, and you see the wind has actually picked up a little more.
Yeah.
And it makes it difficult for for the defender. So I think the official scorer is always in a no-win situation on something like that.
But
and if you're
discretion.
a pitcher, yeah, it is. It's his discretion.
Right.
But if you're the pitcher, you're thinking that ball was in the ballpark, plenty of time to get under it. How about catching it?
Well, I'll tell you what. I know you ask Pereira, he's going to tell you, "Oh, of course I should have had it."
Yeah.
I mean, if he's going to tell you that, and he can obviously hear our conversation right now.
Yeah, he goes,
he's listening into the broadcast while he's on second base. Yeah, it's just one of those things in baseball, right? There's some gray areas in baseball, and that's one of them.
Harold, a big cut and a miss. He is out on strike. I'll tell you what, too, about that. I'm glad there's still some gray areas in the game. You know, the game has become so ultra super analyzed. I kind of like a gray area once in a while.
Super analyzed. I mean, look, even down to basically umpires' decisions, right? There's even talk that at some point you're going to go out there and have an automated strike zone, right? And so you're taking a lot of the gray area away from the game.
Curtis Mead looks at a strike. It's going to be an interesting spring for Mead now. You know, it could get a little crowded on that infield.
It could. It definitely could with the addition of Rosario. You got Caballero. You know, Harold Ramirez is still out there doing extremely well. There's just, I'll tell you what, it's a good problem to have. If you ask Kevin Cash and you talk about, you know, the options that he has coming into camp, because they really like Mead. You know, Mead has shown them the ability to hit specifically at all levels. I mean, a pure hitter. And so they're trying to work him around the infield right now, see where he fits best. But they definitely do like him. And that's the trick, right? In spring training is it's always good to have these type of issues and these type of questions going into spring. Who's going to fit in where? Because we almost have too many guys.
Over the mound, but near the bag at second. So Lowe will go to third. Mead grounds out. And here's Johnny DeLuca.
You talk about another guy. Here's a new face, right? Johnny DeLuca coming over in the trade. And, you know, everything we've heard about him, the Rays are very high on him. You know, what he can bring to the outfield, the speed that he has alone.
Into left. That's going to drop for a base hit. Lowe's going to score, and DeLuca, wasting no time at all, jumping on the first pitch, gives the Rays a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, DeLuca's one of those guys who, well, first of all, he came out there with a really good approach. He sees anything across the plate, he's going to be swinging. And does a nice job of barreling that ball up for the RBI. You see it, Clark Schmidt just catching a little bit too much plate right there, but a lot to like from DeLuca. And now this is a guy who doesn't have a lot of Major League experience, only 45 plate appearances with the Dodgers last year. So you just wonder what he can do with some consistent at-bats.
Caballero fouls it. You know, DeLuca's an interesting case. Here was a guy, he was a switch hitter. And it wound up hitting right-handed. And that's always an interesting switch, whichever way. I mean, if you take a guy, try to develop him as a switch hitter, and now Caballero's hit by the pitch. And so DeLuca will move up to second or not. I think the plate umpire is going to say that's a foul ball. Or maybe they're saying that he swung at it. But again, Caballero's not happy with that. You can see Chris Siegel shaking his head.
I don't know if he's saying he leaned into it or he's leaning over the plate. I thought it was clear. I mean, it looked like it hit him right in the elbow pad.
Yep. Well, you could hear that. And so Kevin having a polite conversation. Listen to this and watch.
Yeah, I don't know what the argument is.
Yeah, I don't either. That's clearly hit by pitch.
Yeah, and regular season, I don't know if we'd be seeing that many smiles from Kevin.
Oh, no.
Spring training may be one thing. No, it looks like they're going to keep him up there. I have no idea. It had to be that he was leaning over the plate.
And I just wonder if Siegel heard that ball hit the elbow pad, the guard, and think it was a foul ball. Only thing I could figure. And so it's 2 strikes now instead of a hit batter. Well, in any case, the at-bat continues here.
Well, you go back to what you were talking about with DeLuca, though. You know, the switch hitter, and then all of a sudden you go from switch hitting to just going to your dominant side, and that can be so productive for a hitter because you think about it every day. You're working on 2 different sides, and now you take all that focus and create, you know, that one swing that you want from the right-handed batter's box, and that's where you can become very dangerous. You know, it's going to add a lot of confidence, and just the amount of sheer reps that you're getting. You're doubling up the reps that you're getting in practice now, and it should be able to come out here and show on the field.
On the ground, it's short. Volpe with the toss on the force play at second base. The Rays settle for the 1 run. We go to the 3rd, 1-0 Tampa Bay. Rays with a 1-0 lead. Zach Littell now in the Rays dugout, and a very impressive outing. First of the spring and 2 excellent innings.
I loved what we saw from Zach Littell going out there. He already looks midseason form, was able to get ahead of most hitters. That's what we're gotten used to seeing from him. Just his approach, super aggressive on the approach, pumping strikes, and then also getting the swing and miss when he needed to. Got a few strikeouts today, got 3 actually strikeouts today. So around the zone, stuff looked really good, really sharp from Zach Littell.
And we will see Tyler Alexander, the lefty, coming over from Detroit. And his first pitch comes in a little high. Carlos Narvaez, the DH. Alexander misses in with that one. It's 2-0. Kind of interesting that Alexander would follow Littell here, because he's the same kind of guy except a lefty in terms of making the transition from, you know, the bullpen to kind of a bulk guy. They want to stretch him out a little bit, and we saw what Zach Littell did last year was outstanding, and the Rays think from the left side, here's a guy who could cover some innings for them. Up the right side, that's going to drop. Yandy lost track of that ball, and it fell into shallow right field. And Narvaez is aboard.
Well, that one just falling really in no man's land. Narvaez just basically putting a barrel on it, but, you know, didn't really put a lot of juice on it. You see it just flop right over Yandy Diaz's head. He really had no chance at that play. But go back to Alexander. You know, he's an interesting case. Goes out there. He's not going to overpower you. I mean, he's going to sit around to 89, 91 miles an hour. Big on the cutter and the four seam. And now he does have 5 pitches. He'll throw a changeup, a sinker, a slider in there. And it's always interesting to me that when a pitcher comes over from a new team, how Kyle Snyder will help them kind of clean up the repertoire a little bit, right? See which type of pitch he's going to use a little bit more. Hey, maybe use this one more, use this one less. Attack with this one in certain counts. So anytime a pitcher does come over and gets to work with Kyle Snyder, it's always awesome to see the evolution of that and the maturing process. And maybe a month, 2 months down the road, we'll see where he's at.
1-1. Jorbit Bibas up there now with the count of 1-1.
There's Snyder. Every time I talk to him, I'm amazed. I mean, I'm Florida. Of course, I'm biased, but to me, he's been the best pitching coach in the game for a while now. And one of those guys that it seems like every time we acquire new talent or every time a guy comes up from the minor leagues, this is how you know he's good. The first thing they talk about is their relationship with Kyle Snyder and how close they are with their pitching coach. And then, that's what he does. He establishes trust. And then he has the numbers to help back up all the things that he teaches these guys.
I'll tell you what amazes me, aside from his knowledge and the insight, but just keeping track of all of these pitchers and breaking them down the way he can and figuring out what is it about that particular pitcher and the stuff he has and how he goes about it. What is the most effective approach and combination that he can go to that pitcher and have that discussion with. And I'll tell you, the number of success stories that the Rays have had and Kyle Snyder individually, amazing stuff going on.
Yeah. For Kyle, I think he's so good because he can teach you on different levels, right?
Right back up the middle. Brandon, that's going to be Caballero stepping on the bag and starting the double play. Well, that ball sharply hit. Caballero up there back of the bag at second and was right there to make the play.
That was an outstanding play. First of all, I think the ball was hidden from Caballero until the last second because Alexander, it was hit right past Alexander. But you see it right here. This is a line drive right back up the middle. You see how it was hidden right there by the pitcher, but Caballero able to snag that thing and go for the double play. And that was an outstanding play.
And I'll tell you, there's a pitch in there for a strike. You're right. That ball sharply hit with a little top spin on it.
Yeah, that can play a lot of tricks. And, Caballero, he's very comfortable in multiple infield positions.
And to the left, it's Rosarena making the catch. And a 1-2-3, third inning. 1-0 Rays. Join the Rays when they take on the Yankees during spring training, such as today. All presented by Visit Tampa Bay. To your RaysBaseball.com/spring. Purchase tickets. You can get tickets when the Rays take on the Yankees and all the other opponents they have this year as well. Well, Zach Littell got the start today for the Rays, and he was excellent out there, and we're happy to have him join us here as we go to the bottom of the third. Rene Pinto takes a strike. Zach, thank you so much for your time, and I would have to think that everything went pretty much as you had planned and expected.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. That first game was always just get back into it and throw a lot of strikes, and definitely came out of that one happy.
Hey, Zach, we were talking last inning about the importance of a relationship between a pitcher and a pitching coach. And, Kyle Snyder, he's one of those guys who seems to have a great relationship with all of his pitchers. How important has that been, that relationship with Kyle, to you?
It's invaluable, honestly. There's not many guys in the game like Snyder that have a grasp on the day-to-day analytics that the game is kind of changing into, as well as, pitching. So being able to integrate those two and still talk old-school pitching while also talking about, how your stuff is going to play to certain hitters and certain guys. It's just, like I said, there's not many guys like him.
Zach, you made just a remarkable transition to help this ball club a year ago when there were a number of injuries and you stepped in. Tell us a little bit about the actual execution of that transition, because not every pitcher can do what you did to stretch out in the middle of the season the way you did.
Yeah, honestly, if you look back at it, it's just kind of wild how it happened. But I had a lot of guys that I could kind of bounce those ideas off of. Jeffrey Springs, Drew Rasmussen, even the starters have been doing it a long time. Zach Eflin's been invaluable being able to talk to him and just talk about a routine, talk about how to treat your body in between those starts and make sure that you're ready to go every 5 days. They're the ones that kind of help guide me in the right direction. Obviously, there was a lot of work that went into it from a pitch development standpoint, and getting to work with Snide, getting to work with the analytics guys is just all of it together. I guess made it look easy, but it was definitely harder than I guess it seemed.
I'm a former pitcher, and obviously I've done both, start and relieving. And I was wondering, what was the hardest part of the actual transition? Was it being built up? Was it changing any type of pitch shape? I mean, what was it to you that was the hardest? And because you did make it look very easy last year.
I appreciate it, but I think the hardest part about all of it is just changing your routine, right? Like as a reliever, you show up to the yard every day, like having to get your body ready, having to get mentally ready to be in there that night. And as a starter, obviously you have 4 days off. But those 4 days are important from a routine standpoint, making sure you're ready every 5th day. And so the shift in routine is pretty drastic. The build-up is one of those things that I think anybody can do, especially when you're given a couple weeks and it's not like, hey, we want you to go 6 innings today after you've only gone 2 before, But all of it together, I think the routine is probably the biggest change.
Yeah, how did that process develop with you? What was the first approach by the club, by Kyle to you, with the idea that they were going to try to stretch you out that way?
Yeah, I'd been opening. I think I'd had like 3 or 4 2-inning opens in the week or 2 before that, and I believe it was right before the All-Star break, and we had just found out that Drew Rasmussen had a little bit of I guess he had the second procedure done. And so now it just kind of came up to me and floated the idea like, hey, would you want your own day? We would stretch you out. We don't know how long this is going to last. The trade deadline was coming up. So it was one of those like, hey, we want to do this and kind of see where it goes. I'm not going to like tell you that it's set in stone, but for now we're going to give you your day coming out of the break and see where we can go. And so it was, I think, a little bit of like exploratory for them and for me. Obviously, the transition went really well, and I was extremely pleased to finish the year like that. And I think that it was pretty cool to get to pitch in a rotation on a 99-win team. I mean, the opportunity to start doesn't come very often anyway, and to get to do it for a contender like that was a lot of fun.
I love the way he put that. How would you like to get your own day? That is a fantastic way.
Yeah, he didn't use the word start because I'd been starting technically, right, like opening, but he was like, do you want your own day? Like you get to throw a bullpen in between and all that. And yeah, I mean, honestly, showing up to the field that day, just didn't see the day going like that, but pretty cool how it happened.
It is. Last one out of me. You're going into a season now where you're anticipating the starting rotation. To be in the starting rotation, that's different from last year when you were anticipating being a reliever. Are you building yourself up any differently in the offseason? Did you train any differently going in knowing that you're going to have a different role?
Yeah, this is going to sound a little crazy, but I probably threw less and went a lot slower as far as volume build up. The workload increased, I think, in my major league innings by something like 40 innings last year, and ideally we go through 32 starts this year and throw 180 plus innings. So they were very wanted me to be very cautious in the ramp up, the volume wise. Knew there was going to be plenty of time by the time I got to spring training to get to that 6-inning, 7-inning mark coming out of camp. So yeah, I mean, I guess as crazy as it sounds, I went a lot slower and I tried to build up a little bit slower. And so, yeah, as a reliever, you kind of got to show up and be ready to go.
Well, Zach, it was fun to watch that develop for you and the club last year, and we're looking forward to watching you again this year. It's a great story, and we certainly appreciate the time spent with us here today.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
All right. Zach Littell, outstanding outing here in his first appearance of the spring, and boy, I'll tell you, you get a guy like that, responds to what the Rays put together, and Kyle Snyder and Kevin Cash and the whole crew, and have that kind of success, you can't help but feel really good about that story.
I love talking about that guy. I love talking to that guy, and the more you hear from him, the better you feel about it. This is a guy who really embraces his role here, loves being around this team. I like the fact that he mentioned all the mentors that helped him along the way getting into that rotation. Zach Eflin, right? And some of these guys like Eflin that can go out there and talk to him and talk him through some of the road bumps that you might get from going out of a bullpen role to now being a starter.
1-2 the count to Randy Arozarena. The double by Pinto to start it. The move to third on the Diaz ground ball, and then Lau's ground ball. Pinto had to stay at third base. Well, right there's what you're talking about, Doug.
Yep, there's another good guy to know from and talk to and be mentored by, Shane McClanahan.
And Rosarena is out on strike, so the Rays leave a man at third. We're through 3, 1-0 Tampa Bay. Tickets start at just $10 for every Rays regular season home game this year. Be sure and view the schedule and purchase your tickets by visiting RaysBaseball.com. Well, we go to the 4th inning. Tyler Alexander worked the 3rd, gave up a base hit, and then threw a double play ball. Got a fly ball to left, and here in the 4th, he will face the catcher, Austin Wells. First pitch, and that drops in there for a strike.
Go back to Tyler Alexander and the type of pitcher he is. He's going to have to work quick. He's going to have to throw a lot of strikes because he's not going to overpower you. You know, he's sitting around 90, 91 miles an hour, has a cutter that looks almost identical to the fastball. Behind that, he'll throw a changeup, little sinker, slider. Has a good idea of what he's doing on the mound. Also sporting a very nice mustache, Dwayne. What do you got on that?
Yeah, that's
Wyatt Earp.
That's well done. Yeah, he's got a little touch of Wyatt Earp. It's a swing and miss, and Wells is out on strikes for the 2nd time today. Out number 1 in the 4th inning.
Well, that right there is what you're looking for, right? The slider. You talk about how he's not overpowering, but if he can locate well, then he can get a lot of punch outs, especially if he's working ahead in the count. Right there, you see the slider down and away to the left-hander. Very hard for left-handers to keep up with that pitch.
And as you mentioned, you know, he can be stretched out a little bit because he has essentially 4 pitches.
Yep.
So he's a prime candidate for that.
Those guys
Strike here.
They're so valuable, Dwayne. Like guys who can go out there, they can open for you, they can throw in any relief role that you need them to. They can spot start, right? But they can suck up innings. They can go out there and take the ball and go 3, 4, 5 innings if they need to. You got 162 games. Those guys are invaluable.
And he just missed there, 1 and 2. Everson Perea, the left fielder. And that will be strike 3 call. He's out on strikes for the 2nd time today.
Well, this one might have been a changeup up in the zone. It's hard to tell right here. I mean, everything's tunneling very well. Yeah, it was a changeup up in the zone. Either way, located very well, but everything coming out of that same arm slot, and that's what makes Alexander tough to hit, tough to pick up. Everything looks like that four-seam fastball coming out of the hand.
There's a first pitch strike. Osvaldo Cabrera, switch hitting infielder, 3rd base today. This one is down. Alexander originally drafted out of TCU by the Detroit Tigers. Chop back of first. That's a fair ball. Yandy Diaz makes the play unassisted. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4th. Through 3 1/2. The Rays won. Don't miss a pitch during the new 2024 season with a Rays season membership. Either a traditional or flex.
Than the berm in spring training?
I don't think so.
It's really hard to beat. You can lay down, right? If you're tired, just take a nap. Go ahead and take a nap. If not, you can sit up, watch a game. You got a low fence in front of you, so you got a chance for a foul ball. Everybody just looks so relaxed.
That's right. And if you need a little extra space, you can have that. If you want to be right next to your companion, you can be right next.
Listen, plenty of room, right? You can get some sun. Yeah. Look at this. There we go.
You can get a souvenir. And maybe play catch with the left fielder.
Yeah.
Well, Josh Lowe is going to lead it off against Will Warren. And the first pitch is a strike. Rays have scored the only run of this game, and that came as a result of the leadoff double from Josh in the second inning. 1-1. A ball, 2 strikes. Warren, one of the top pitching prospects for the Yankees. Fly ball, well tagged back toward the left center, and that's going to be caught by Jones out there. So 1 away.
Some hard contact from Josh Lowe. Love to see that. He's going to be so important to the Rays this season. The offense, what he can do, versatility he brings. Solid on defense, but how about his base running? 32 stolen bases, only got caught 3 times last year.
And expecting the Rays certainly feel that those numbers can grow. Both run production and stolen bases. Hard to get much better than what he did, though, in the stolen base department.
I remember talking to Peter Bendix 1 year ago this time. I was in spring training, and they were talking about Josh Lowe.
Oh, a hot shot, short hop, and it skips by the shortstop. Ramirez, who hits the ball hard frequently, has himself a base hit on that one.
You know, just going back to Josh Lowe real quick, I was talking to Peter Bendix, and he was telling me, he's like, look, we believe he's a 5-tool player. I mean, this guy, he has speed. He is outstanding in the outfield. He can go up there and hit for average. He can hit for power. He can do all these things. He can run. And we saw all of that on display last year, and it was for the entire season.
Curtis Mead takes a strike.
I think with Josh, you just want him to repeat, not take too much pressure into this season, and that's a hard thing for a young player.
Yep.
Right? Not to want to really just, you know, bump every part of your game up. And not that I'm saying he doesn't need to or doesn't want to, but, you know, to go out there and to repeat is hard, right? And so the expectation of him getting a little bit better, that's wild that everybody expects him to be that much better or a little bit better, because that just tells you how good this guy really is and the skill set he has.
Yeah, and the Rays are confident that he has the makeup to handle that and to continue the progress. Because you get a lot of young players put a lot of pressure on themselves, and you do have to be a little concerned about that. But I think their evaluation is that he's a guy who can handle that.
You know, I remember going out there when I made my major league debut. I had about a month and a half of the season left, and it was a good debut, right? For a month and a half, it was very solid. And going into the next spring, all I could think about is being better than I was, right? All I wanted to do was be better. I got to be better. I got to be better. And honestly, I think that inhibited me a little bit because, you know, I couldn't focus on doing what I did well. Instead, I was just trying to be better at everything. And so you got to have the right mindset, especially as a younger player, and understand how to handle success and build off of it.
You know, you hear pitchers talk about one pitch at a time, talk hitters, you know, one at bat at a time, swing and miss, and it pegged down to first, pretty close there, waiting on the call, and Ramirez got back in as Mead is out on strikes.
See Austin Wells behind the plate. That's a pitch outside corner, so it sets up perfectly for a catcher to throw down to first base.
And Ramirez going to the backside of that bag on the corner makes that a longer attempted tag, and so he got back in there. Did he swing? He did not. DeLuca held up in time. Warren on the hill. He was an 8th-round pick out of southeastern Louisiana in the 21 draft for New York.
I'm trying to think if I ever had a 98 jersey number in spring. See that in your locker. I don't know. I don't know how good you feel about your chances making opening day.
It's popped up. Foul ball near the stands. Room to make the catch. And Rojas grabs it to retire the side. Rays leave a man. We go to the fifth. 1-0 Rays. Ball game moves into the fifth inning. The Rays with a run in the second. The RBI single by DeLuca got Josh Lowe home. So it's a 1-0 ball game through the front four. We go to the fifth.
Yep.
And the Rays, who had Zach Littell work the first two and Tyler Alexander worked the third and fourth. Alexander a couple strikeouts. Gave up one hit. No runs. Jose Rojas will lead off the fifth. A number of defensive changes for the Rays, and we'll have those for you in a moment. Rojas, Gonzalez, and then Jones due up. Shenton is in the game at first, and then Simon at second base. Chad Mottola will join us here from the Rays dugout. And Chad, great to have you. We appreciate your time early in the spring. And you know, a couple of things that we were discussing earlier. Let's talk about one of the newcomers to begin with, and Johnny DeLuca, a guy who used to be a switch hitter, right-handed now, and what's the early take on DeLuca? Oh, a little mic issue there, and so we'll get back in a moment. Rojas takes the first pitch, and it's down for a ball. 1-0. Rays picked up their run in the second inning. Up and away, 2-0. That's a strike. 2-1. Understand we've reestablished connections with the dugout. There's a strike, and it's 2-2. Chad, we were talking about Johnny DeLuca. Sorry for the technical issue. Give us your early take and rundown on him.
He's got some pop. Coming from in the Glass Now trade, it's pretty educated in his swing and advanced with its thoughts, so it's just getting to know him right now.
You know, you're talking about Johnny DeLuca. That's a newcomer. Let's talk about a guy that put together some really good numbers last year and just what the expectations are this year for Josh Lowe. I mean, he was so impressive and what he did and the growth that he had last year. What are you expecting from him?
2 years ago, we experimented with a lot of things. It was probably just as much my fault as finding his swing. Last year, about the first month, it really clicked for him. So we're real excited to have all that in place, and now it's just seeing some pitches and not having to worry about rebuild and swing or make swing changes. So he should be good from day one.
You know, another guy that has some clear changes to his game, Randy Arozarena, looks like he put on some good weight. Oh, that ball is gone. Randy put on some really good weight, good muscle. You know, what are you thinking with him going into the season and kind of the expectations of him throughout the year?
Well, that, and not only he's trying to step up as a leader, and it's his time to shine. Done it in his performance, but now he's trying to take hold of the clubhouse a little bit more and speak to guys, and his actions speak for it, but he is a definite specimen right now.
Yeah, he's got the same workout routine I think you took up.
He's right there with Yandy right now, and that's saying a lot.
You talk about Yandy Diaz. Okay, so what was the most impressive thing that he did for you last year? He put together such an unbelievable season, especially at the plate. You know, what was the most impressive thing that you saw?
He's always used the other side of the field really good, and we kind of wanted to slowly build the pull side, and his power showed up last year, and he still hasn't tapped into it fully. He recognizes that, and just the growth he has step by step and keeps building, I don't know what he's going to be by the end of this time. You don't want to say he's going to have a better year, but where he's at right now, I'm convinced that he will.
You know, going out there and just hopefully repeating what he did last year would be amazing. To think that he could even do better, that's pretty incredible. Somebody who's not out there today but wanted to chat about him, Isaac Paredes. You know, he's one of those guys that's just fascinating to me as a pitcher. I see a guy who flat out does not go to the opposite field, but then you look at his numbers and you see how strong he is, and you can obviously tell that that approach is working for him. Talk about how unique he is at the plate, and maybe some expectations for him this year.
He's very underrated with his swing decisions. He swings at the pitches he can handle, and he takes the ones he can't. But he also uses the other side of the field with 2 strikes when we need that base hit. So pitchers have a tough time getting him in those counts where they can take advantage of it. So his swing decisions are probably his biggest, strongest suit that nobody talks about.
Yeah, swing decisions, no doubt. Well, so we're still here early in spring training, right? So what are you looking for in general from the hitters right now? Are you just trying to establish a little bit of timing at this point?
With the new guys, you just get to know them. You get to know their path they took from whether it was college, high school, or junior college in Caballeros. We missed that one. But just something that they have done along the way, something they may want to change. It's a new, fresh start for them all. And the guys that we had in the past years, just making sure their body's okay, making sure they didn't try to do something different, or if they did, where they're at. So there's a lot more conversations at the beginning of spring than working on mechanics and things like that.
Hey, let's talk about a guy who's not in the lineup today, but who showed some interesting power along with speed last year. Jose Siri. Here's a guy I think surprised a lot of people with the power. 25 home runs, and he's expecting that or more this year.
Yeah, he missed a lot of time too. So it's one of those things that he got to 25, and I don't want to say he was inconsistent, but there was times where he got injured and took some build back and things like that, and he still snuck up on 25. So there's no reason why he can't get to 30. You don't want to put that type of pressure where they're trying to reach for 30, because when he reaches back for more, he tends to overswing and make bad decisions. But he's another guy that to continue to grow. We get these guys and get to know them, and we have a set routine, things like that. We just start right where we left off.
You know, with camp opening and junior Caminero here, early on, a lot of people, a lot of speculation about him. We saw him at the tail end of the season last year, so a great deal of expectations. But at the same time, you have to monitor that. How's that working out to this point? What do you expect from him, and how soon do you expect it?
He's special. I mean, people try to compete with him in BP, and just his bat speed is electric, things like that. He moved pretty quick through the system. So there's pitch types that he hasn't even seen yet, things like that we have to kind of make sure he understands that there's going to take a little time in different situations, because rightly so, his expectations are high. But it's one of those things that the game will dictate how it goes.
Well, Chad, I'll tell you, we have a lot of fun watching you and the rest of the coaching staff develop this talent, particularly from the hitting side. They say that's the hardest thing to do in baseball, and you're doing a pretty good job. Well, we appreciate what you've done here.
Thank you. It's great hearing your guys' voices. We got a good group of guys, so it's always enjoyable.
Well, thank you, Chad. Look forward to more conversation later in the season, maybe later in the spring as well. Great job. Take care. Well, there you go.
There you go.
I'll tell you, we talk pitching a lot, and I think sometimes Chad Mottola gets overlooked, but the job he does is on par with what Kyle Snyder does with the pitching staff.
I think Chad Mottola gets overlooked way too often. He deserves a lot of credit on what he does and how he handles this entire roster and this entire lineup. You know, he's the type of guy who knows when to push, knows when to back off. And just really knows his personnel very, very well. And you look at the numbers. You know, look at the numbers last year, what this offense did. It was incredible. The amount of power and speed and the combination they had.
Nice job there by Caballero. A run on the home run. We're tied 1-1. Entertain groups of all sizes right here at Charlotte Sports Park for spring training. Presented by Visit Tampa Bay. Book your party area at raysbaseball.com/spring. Well, the Rays and the Yankees tied at 1. Jose Caballero set to lead off the bottom of the 5th. followed by Rene Pinto, and then back to the top side of the lineup. Warren, who picked up a strikeout in the 4th inning, begins the 5th, getting a swing and miss from Caballero. That's a liner into left center field. Cutting across, Jones to make the pickup, and a little bobble on his way to second. Caballero, he made the turn aggressively at first and was headed to second. And he was going to go for 2. I think even if the ball comes up cleanly. And he is just like that, an instant scoring threat.
Well, look how fast he gets out of the box right here. You see the ball up in the zone, able to barrel this thing up to center field. Bobble right there from the center fielder, and Caballero able to take advantage of it, especially with his speed. And anything in the gap, he's going to be thinking extra bases at all times. And that's one of the highlights that we've heard of from his game is base running, extremely fast on the bases.
Pinto jumps on the first pitch, shoots it into left. Caballero's going to head to the plate. The throw will come through, but it's not in time. And into second base goes Pinto. And just like that, the Rays come back to re-grab the lead on the base hit by Pinto, driving in the run, and he moves to second on the throw through, picking up the run batted in.
Boy, nice to see from Pinto right there, jumping all over that pitch up in the zone. See him barrel this thing up, some fastball, middle, able to pull that ball, and that's what we've seen from him when he's on. Rene Pinto able to have a lot of strong pull side power. Barrels that one up for the RBI, reaches second base.
Now Austin Shenton. And he looks at that first pitch. Tap to the right side. Covering is Warren to take the toss, and over to third goes Pinto. Shenton advances the runner.
Go back a couple batters here. You know, it's so important to see Rene Pinto in a comfortable role here in spring training, because there's a lot of weight on his shoulders coming into this spring. In the number 1 catcher, knowing what he's going to have to do behind the plate defensively, control the entire staff. He can add in that strong offensive power. Could be a nice threat for the Tampa Bay Rays.
Infield up here for New York with Pinto down at third. He's driven in both runs in this 2-1 game. Ronnie Simon batting against the drawn-in infield and finds himself down 0-2. And strike 3 called. So that's a big strikeout for the second out of the inning.
That was just a really nice pitch from Warren. That's a fastball catching the inside corner. Simon not expecting that. You see it right there. Perfectly executed. Really tough pitch to handle.
And so with 2 outs, it's up to Randy Arozarena if the Rays are to pick up this potential run here. Popped to second and struck out. 1-0 the count. That's upstairs, 2-0. Two and one.
You talk about spring training. You're going out there. You're facing a pitcher that you've never seen before.
Well, Aaron Boone has popped out of the dugout. And
it looked like he called for the pitcher already.
He certainly did. That's kind of interesting here with Warren holding a 2-1 count against Arozarena. He had worked the 4th inning. And with a run home and a man at third and 2 outs in the 5th. That's going to be it for Warren. So there will be a call to the bullpen here. Back in a moment. Well, admitted bat. Nick Ramirez gets the call with a 1-2 count on Randy Arozarena. Ramirez, the lefty, has been around. He's 34 years old, out of Cal State Fullerton. Originally with the Milwaukee Brewers. And so in the middle of this at bat, in the middle of the 5th, he gets the call.
Spring training.
Yep.
Can you just explain things and just say spring training and that's enough?
Well, you know, spring training is to get ready and it's to experiment, do all kinds of things like that. So I guess that's what we're watching.
Sure, why not?
He inherits the count at 2-1. Ooh, and Randy fouls this one right back off Austin Wells.
Here's another rule question for you, Dwayne. Now, 2-1 count, you get inherited. You walk in there. Anything positive, so a strikeout would go onto the pitcher's record that is currently on the mound. If he walks him or gives up a hit, then it would go to Warren, who already got removed. Is that correct?
And then he would be responsible for a potential run. That's going to fall or not. Coming in is Gonzalez to make the catch to retire the side. Rays pick up a run and leave a man and lead 2-1. Suit up this season at MLBShop.com. Check out the largest selection of official jerseys, caps, t-shirts, collectibles, and more. Gear up with the Rays at MLBShop.com. We are through 5. The Rays have this 1-run lead. And a new pitcher on the hill. Michael Gomez will take over. Littell will work 2. Alexander 2. Zach Houston came on and worked the 5th inning. Touch for the home run by Rojas. And now it's Michael Gomez. And the first pitch is wide. 1 ball and no strikes. Vivas up there and a big swing and miss. He had grounded into a 6-3 double play in the 3rd. Go back around to the top of the lineup.
Dwayne, how's the scorebook looking?
2-1.
Yours is looking a lot cleaner than mine.
I don't know. Yours looks very neat.
Well, no, it looks neat because I haven't wrote anything down in a little while here. There's been some line changes that I'm just missing, buddy.
You know, it's always fun spring training because you get all kinds of things in here. You get lines drawn to try to differentiate the changes when people come in. Hey, there is strike 3. I did it. No, that's, I guess, ball 4. Boy, he's got a lot to undress.
Yeah, he's taken off all the accessories.
I'll tell you, you talk about, I mean, his speed. When he dropped that, his speed, he put him in a different category now.
He just lost about 15 pounds on the bases, and now he's getting removed from the bases. Interesting.
Yep. How about that? So he takes all of that off, runs to first, and now we get a pinch runner. The pitch, Volpe takes it wide. Hopefully a couple fly ball outs. Runner takes off and to throw down. Oh, he got in there to the outside of the bag, head first, and so the stolen base there.
Stolen base right here, you know, that's part of the Yankees game. Last year they actually had a decent amount of stolen bases. They were 9th in the American League with 100 stolen bases, and they're looking to be a little bit more athletic this year. One of the most athletic guys on the team, Volpe, right here. Looking for him to make a big step up in the right direction.
Popper into short right, and that skips by. dropping, and it's going to roll all the way to the track. That scores a run. And Volpe winds up at third base. And the game is now a 2-2 ball game.
Yeah, this is one of those all-or-nothing plays. And Volpe hits it out to right field, and the right fielder has to decide. It's a low-diving line drive, and you either go all or nothing, and unfortunately comes up with nothing right here. You see it drop just below the glove. And with no one backing him up, Volpe with his speed, able to get to third base pretty easily.
Wells takes a big cut and misses. So a walk, a triple, and a run. It's fouled back, 0-2. Bit wide. Ball, 2 strikes. And that will take care of Wells. Out on strikes for the 3rd time today, and the first out in the 6th inning.
Nice little off-speed pitch right here from Wells. Or from Gomez right there. You see it start middle. It drops off the table right at the end. It was real nice vertical movement, vertical drop. Wells actually has a lot of power, so that's a good out.
Infield stays up. Jefferson Herrera at the plate. Takes the count to 1-1. Littell worked 2. Alexander 2, Houston 1, and now Gomez in here in the 6th inning. And a broken back grab by Gomez, bare hand, throw to the plate. Oh, they got it. Oh, what a play. Gomez barehanded that ball, hurriedly got it to the plate, and then Driscoll somehow made the grab and took it back across the plate to get the tag just in time.
I can't believe I just saw that. That's incredible. Weak contact right back to Gomez. Gomez doesn't use the glove. Barehands it. Spins Driscoll around. Driscoll pirouettes and able to make the tag. Watch this tag right here. It's an incredible play by both Gomez and Driscoll to get the out at home.
Well, the pitch to Cabrera is away, 1 ball and no strikes.
Well, I got to say, for Gomez to know that he could still get the guy going home, I mean, that was pretty impressive. I just can't believe he barehanded it.
Yeah, not your ordinary comebacker and then play at the plate.
No.
That's one of those Savannah banana plays.
Yeah, that was incredible. There you go. You see it again right here. No panic, right? Gomez doesn't panic. Bare hands, throws Driscoll, spins it around, slaps the tag on Volpe. Volpe's a great base runner.
A little pirouette on the left knee there.
Yeah.
Now it's 2-1. Up and away, now 3-1. Vina, the runner at first. He is the pinch runner. And a base hit shot through the middle. Vina is going to go to third. And it's first and third for New York.
That's some hard contact right there. Oswaldo Cabrera. Well, this is one of the things they're looking for him to do, be a little bit more consistent at the plate. You see him drive that pitch right back up the middle. He's one of those guys, very versatile on defense, able to play multiple positions, kind of that super utility role.
And here's Rojas, who hit the home run to center field in the 5th inning. Pitch is wide. So 2 men on, 2 men out. The game is tied 2-2. 2-0. Rays with Tristan Peters in left, Greg Jones in center, and Ruben Cardenas is in right. That's a strike. Murphy's taken over at third. Basabe at short. And as we mentioned, Logan Driscoll behind the plate. And that runs it to 3-1. Foul. That is headed for the stands.
Pretty good crowd today, Dwayne.
Not bad. They had a little over 5,000 for the game here Sunday.
Yep. You were on the call on Sunday, Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday.
Sunday.
It's going to be somewhere in that neighborhood. Runner takes off on the 3-2 pitch from first, and it's popped up foul. Back to, oh, look out. Into the netting, and Driscoll hangs on. Logan Driscoll all the way to the base of the stands, and then used the netting. Made the catch, held on, and that's going to retire the side. That's quite a play. We'll take another look.
I'm going to tell you what, you talk about making a first impression or a good impression. How about this from Logan Driscoll? This is a spring training game, laying it out there.
Well, defense out of the catcher to end the top half of the 6th inning, and a pretty nice job. Logan Driscoll going after that foul pop. Grabbed it, used the netting. You don't want to work without a net.
No. Yeah, you don't want to pull that off without a net. Remember, this is one of the first few games of spring training, and what Logan Driscoll is doing here is he's trying to make an impression on Kevin Cash, and I guarantee you he just did, because look at what he's doing to get that out and get his pitcher out of a jam. That is an outstanding job from Logan Driscoll.
Slavis Basabe is going to lead it off here for the Rays in the bottom of the 6th inning. It's a pop fly right center field, and that's going to be caught for the out. It's Lockridge, who had entered the game as a pinch runner, now playing center field.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dwayne, these late innings, especially early in camp, where you got a lot of minor league guys, got a lot of new guys getting in the games. All you're trying to do is make that impression, right? All you're trying to do is make sure that the staff walks away and says, hey, this guy really, he did something today. He showed me something today. And you think about Driscoll's last half inning, right? The throw from Gomez where he was able to get Volpe, tag him after doing basically a full circle to slap the tag on Volpe at home and then making that catch on that foul ball into the screen. I mean, these are the type of things that can open some eyes.
Mm-hmm. And if you're in camp, that's what you want to do. Nick Meyer down in the count now, 1-2.
Yeah, especially at that catching position. I'll tell you what, I don't think anybody's locked in there behind Pinto.
So it's an open camp in that regard. 2-2. the guy knows a little something about catching right there.
Let me tell you about Kevin Cash as a catcher. I know firsthand because I was with him in AAA and the big leagues. And, you know, he's one of those guys I absolutely love throwing to.
Myers a drive back into left field. That ball's going to get out of here. Home run, clearing the bullpen and beyond. That ball carried right on out of here. A home run for Nick Meyer. So how about that? You get a catcher, Driscoll, who makes that catch utilizing the netting behind the plate, and then another catcher in camp hitting in the spot vacated by the DH Ramirez hits one out. And Nick Meyer gives the Rays a 3-2 lead.
Yeah, that one might have ended up in the lake back there. I mean, that one, obviously the wind's going to help a little bit, but I mean, he got all of it. Meyer found a pitch up in the zone, able to barrel that thing out to left.
So the Rays have a one-run lead again. Tanner Murray hitting now. Cues this one foul. And he's down 2 strikes. Here's the home run.
And here you see it, the pitch up in the zone, and really all you got to do is put the barrel on it. That's what Meyer was able to do. Watch where this thing lands. Over the catwalk. I'm pretty sure that got in the water.
Take it low. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
You see that. I mean, that's
pretty good poke right there.
It is. I agree. That ball gets out whether there's wind or not.
2-2 on Murray. He skies it to left center. And that ball is caught in left field. So 2 gone. Jay Sabina making that catch out there in left.
Dwayne, how many mustaches do we have in spring training? That's what I want to know.
We're going to have to tabulate that.
Yes. Look at this. Oh, I love it.
Greg Jones, who's playing center field, swings and misses. Jones getting action in the outfield. Originally drafted as a shortstop. And he is out on strikes. So the Rays get a run on the home run off the bat of Nick Meyer. And they have taken the lead at the end of 6. It's 3-2 Tampa Bay. Follow the Rays on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok to see the best action shots, video highlights, and more. Follow the Rays at Rays Baseball, #RaysUp. Carlos Garcia is the new pitcher for the Rays. Their 5th of the game. And his first pitch is lined into left and grabbed out there for the first out. Christian Peters on the grab. Took over in the 6th inning for Arozarena. The pitch is down and away. Wide. Torrens at the plate. He took over behind the plate from Austin Wells last inning. Now batting here in the 7th and ahead in the count, 2-0. Garcia picks up the corner, 2-1.
Yeah, nice pitch right there from Garcia. Garcia in a situation right now where all you want to do is you want to pound the strike zone, right? You come in late in these spring training games. You know, the other team doesn't know a lot about you. You have the advantage, and it's early in camp. Usually the timing isn't there for the hitters. You want to come in, pound the strike zone, throw as many strikes as possible, put these hitters on their heels. See a clock violation right there.
So the count goes to 3-1. Move it along. And the count now full.
You see the size right there, Garcia. Powering that ball downhill. That was a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. You see the live arm. A few reasons right there why the Rays are high on this guy.
And he gets that pitch in. Torrens pops him up. And that takes care of Torrens for the second out. Agustin Ramirez will hit. And the role originally occupied by Carlos Narvaez, who had a 1-for-2 day. Two and 0 now. Three and nothing. Rays scored a run in the second inning. New York tied it with a run in the fifth. Rays grabbed the lead in the bottom of the fifth when Pinto picked up the RBI single. It's foul right back. Yankees tied it with the RBI triple from Volpe in the sixth, and the Rays on the home run by Nick Meyer in the bottom of the sixth retook the lead 3-2. Playing now in the seventh. 3-2 the count. And a pop-up foul will carry out a play. Agustin Ramirez with the full count against Carlos Garcia. And a liner foul against the side wall. Up, that's going to be foul. That will carry out a play. Boys, you look back over the afternoon. Zach Littell opened. He worked 2 innings. He was very, very good. 3 strikeouts, no runs. Tyler Alexander got 2 innings in, scoreless. And a swing and a miss. An extended at bat. But Garcia gets the strikeout. We go to the bottom of the seventh. 3-2 Rays.
It's time to get up and stretch. The 7th inning stretch on Bally Sports is brought to you by Suncoast Credit Union.
Well, the Rays have a 3-2 lead on the home run by currently their catcher Nick Meyer. Meyer actually a catcher going in, hitting for the DH.
Well, here's a home run right there. Nick Meyer going out there, getting that fastball up in the zone, driving it into the pond over in left field, over that catwalk. got every piece of that. And then here's Logan Driscoll. Watch this play right here. Dwayne, this is still mind-blowing to me. I mean, he goes into the net. He's working with a high sky. He's got a lot of wind up there, and he's able to juggle all that and get the final out of the inning.
Well, the Rays looking for a second catcher.
Well,
boy, that's got to be inspirational for the guys in camp. And he didn't hurt himself with that effort right there.
Yeah, not at all, especially early on in camp. Make a name for yourself. Find a way to stand out. That's exactly what both Nick Meyer and Logan Driscoll have done today.
Nick Birdie, a right-hander, is going to be the new pitcher for the Yankees against Kevin Cash and the Rays. Ruben Cardenas hitting his first plate appearance, and he takes the first pitch inside. He's now in right field. Pitch riding in on him, pops it foul. Out of play, nothing in two.
You see a lot of arm side run coming out of Birdie right there. Looking hard on Cardenas.
Oh, a little close there. Spins him around, 1-2.
You see the arm side run I'm talking about. You see her right there, start middle, and just take off.
Yeah.
A lot of times that happens when a pitcher opens up a little bit too early on the front side, meaning the glove. The glove side opens up too early and exposes the chest of the pitcher to the hitter. And when he does that, the arm drags behind, and the ball runs in on the batter.
Now it evens the count at 2-2. Yeah, and it's hard as Birdie can throw and get that ball up there. That is not a comfortable feeling. Remains 2-2.
Seen a lot of different arms coming out there from the New York Yankees, and that is one of their strengths, the bullpen. They were #1 in the American League last year in bullpen ERA. Over and right around a 3.34 ERA, and you know that was one of their strengths last year. They made some additions this year. It'll be interesting to see where they end up. Not afraid to make moves, spend some money.
And that is strike 3 call. First out in the 7th. Well, it's going to be a little bit of a different look. They have some of the same faces, but they have, in their own way, tried to retool a little bit. The American League East is always going to be a battle.
It is. I mean, look, Baltimore's not going anywhere.
Nope.
And they have a strong farm system.
Driscoll on the ground to second. The throw to first. He is out of there.
There's always a lot of expectations on the manager, which we see right here, Aaron Boone. And, you know, they have a roster that if they're healthy, you can see them doing some damage in this division and really in baseball in general. I mean, Aaron Judge, one of the best right-handed hitters in the game. You got Juan Soto now picked up. I think he can put up some crazy numbers in Yankee Stadium specifically.
Yeah, we saw Boone there. He has his deal through this year, and I think the Yankees have the option in 25 on that.
Important season for him.
That's a chopper going to be fair up the left field line as Shinton hits it the other way. He's going to go for 2, and they have a chance to get him, but they could not come up with the throw cleanly. And so Shinton is aboard in scoring position with 2 outs.
Boy, you're talking about an aggressive turn. Shenton right there. Yeah, he was thinking 2 the entire way, and you see the throw would have beat him. He would have beat him by about 4 or 5 feet easily, but not able to connect on that throw, and that allows Shenton to get up to second base.
Now Ronnie Simon. The first pitch is wide. So they're going to rule out a double. We have a purist in the booth who thinks it should be a single and an E4.
I am not against the purist.
And you can't argue with that.
No, you cannot. Again, if you're the pitcher, I mean, what do you expect that to be ruled?
The cut and a miss. It's 1-1.
Realistic expectations is that, that's a single with an error. But you know what? Good for Shenton.
Yep, he gets a double.
There we go.
And ball, 2 strikes. Simon called out on strikes in the 5th inning and down 1-2 here in his second plate appearance of the day. Fouls this 1-2 pitch back. And a little bit down there, 2-2.
It's always tough for these young guys to come up and be patient at the plate. Right, you want to come up, you want to, again, open some eyes of the staff. You want guys to remember you, and you want to do something special. And by going up there, being patient at the plate, it's hard to trust yourself.
That's a line shot into center field. Shenton's going to head to the plate. The throw is cut off, and the Rays pick up another run. It comes with 2 outs, and Ronnie Simon does something to draw the attention to his abilities with a line drive RBI single into center.
Well, and that's what I was talking about, right? So Ronnie Simon struck out last time he was up. So you would think that a young player coming up there would be super aggressive at the plate so he doesn't strike out again. Well, he got himself into a decent count by being patient at the plate, which is tough to do in this situation. And by doing that, he found himself a pitch that he could drive right back up the middle and get the RBI. So really good job right there by Simon.
Tristan Peters, which is down, 1 ball, no strikes. And Simon will draw the attention of Birdie over there at first base. At the knees, 1-1. Simon has been a high energy type player out of the Dominican Republic, and the Rays might. It's that energy he has over there. Becomes a distraction at first. Winds up at third.
Yeah, I mean, look, he takes off so early. He's just looking for the balk, most likely from the pitcher. And if not, then a possible error. And he gets the error because you see right here, the throw winds up in center field. I mean, he throws. The turn to the inside is the incorrect move right there. You want to step off, look at the base runner, and then throw a strike over to your second baseman. Just not executed well, but it was all because of the pressure that Simon put on the bases.
Well, Simon's going to get a steal out of that. And an error charged allowing Simon to pick up the extra base. 1-2. So 2-2. That went over the plate, but down. Full count. Peters out on strikes. Rays had a run and lead 4-2. The Rays holding a 2-run lead as we go to the 8th inning. And, well, they're holding court out there.
They are. They are. They're having a good
berm.
time. Nice and relaxed.
Yep.
Perfect day for a ball game.
Absolutely. Great way to spend the day.
Tampa Bay winning 4-2 over the Yankees. Got a new pitcher on the mound.
It's like Marcus Johnson. In the spring, you can have two guys share the same number, and that's what the Rays are doing today. Johnson will be the second 79 to appear in the game. And the first pitch to Brandon Lockridge is a strike.
So, Dwayne, we got two guys with the same number.
Yes, we do. But not in the game at the same time.
They cannot be in the game at the same time.
So, just for our benefit, it cuts down on confusion. There's enough confusion with us to begin with.
But the other Johnson, or the other 79, could come into this game after.
Well, we had a 79 already.
Well, there we go.
And now Johnson is in the second 79. 2-2. Yeah, we had Zach Houston in earlier.
This is why you don't look at my book.
And strike 3 call. Well, it's one of the spring things of
It's a little
spring training.
flexible. You can be flexible with the rules. How about that?
That's right.
Well, that was a good job right there by number 79 Johnson with the strikeout.
And now Jeter Downs will bat here in the was the leadoff spot. It's fouled out of play. Souvenir to catch in the stands.
One of the best things about spring training, always have a chance to get a souvenir.
There you go. Checking it, make sure there are no scuffs on it.
There, yeah, that's right. Tell you what, if I was here as a fan.
High fly ball deep to left, and Peters shading his eyes, and he makes the catch. That's a nice job out there. The sky, we mentioned at the outset, not many clouds in the sky, and that's sometimes difficult to judge those. And Peters stayed with it out there in front of the wall.
Well, we saw Josh Lowe go out there and end up with a double on a similar ball in the sky. But, I was talking about where I would sit. If I was in the stands right now, I think left field with that wind, got a good chance at a souvenir out there. There we go. Smart fans. Perched up, waiting for it.
Kevin Smith hitting here. The count is 1-1. That's one of your favorite spots.
There you go. One of my favorite traditions is taking my kids down to a spring training game every single year, just as a fan, right? Not working the game, just going there and just taking it all in. Spring training is still one of my favorite times all year long.
2-2.
Maybe get them out of school. Kristen's not listening to the broadcast, I don't think, right now, so I won't be in trouble.
Well,
but I'll tell you what, you talk about building some memories. Spring training, Florida time.
High chop left side. First throw to first will be in time. Smith is out of there. 3 up, 3 down in the 8th. Rays lead this game 4-2. Ball game. The Rays lead. Hit the Yankees 9-5. Home run by Meyer in the 6th inning, and an RBI single from Ronnie Simon in the 7th, giving the Rays this 2-run edge. Rays coming in with a win and a loss and a tie. New York coming in 3-1. The Rays will have Wasabi to lead it off, then Meyer and Murray to follow.
Tell you what, Wasabi last year really impressed me in a few different ways. Like the excitement that he brought to the plate. Wasn't really intimidated by any situation either. Just kind of stepped right into a situation where this team's pushing for the playoffs, right, in a very tough division, and Wasabi steps right in and does a really good job. I thought defensively he was solid. Offensively he was impressive at times.
And here he is against Chase Hampton. Oh, look out. Just a little bit up and in. 1-0 the count.
Well, you see if you dig in. Here it is. Can you consider that a good take?
Popped up. Going to be a foul out of play. 1-1. Hampton is one of their top prospects. Their number 4 prospect. He's out of Texas Tech. I guess served notice that he was, trying to establish what was his territory and not with that first pitch.
That's what he's doing.
Ground ball. That's going to go through between short and third. Wasabi has the base hit.
Well, Wasabi got the best of him after that first pitch got launched to the backstop right over his head. Does a good job of hanging out and staying in on that at bat, pulling one through the 5-6 hole.
And that's going to give the Rays double figures in the hit column. 10 hits today for the Rays. Meyer hit the big home run in the 6th inning. Bats again here in the 8th. Strike one. Stayed in. Did not bite quite as much as Hampton would like. Foul. 2. Let's go back, take a look at the home run swing.
Yep, pitch at the top of the zone. Remember, these guys haven't seen a lot of each other, so Meyer going out there and just anticipating the pitch up in the zone, looking for it, and was able to capitalize. Been aggressive all day today. Finds himself in a 1-2 count.
And a swing and miss. Meyer out on strikes. So one away here in the bottom of the 8th inning. And now Tanner Murray. Strike the count. Hampton, the 5th pitcher for New York. Rays have used 6 pitchers today. Strike 2. Well, the Rays have had base runners in every inning except the first. In the dirt, and that will skip through Torrens, and down to second base goes Wasabi. A wild pitch there on that pitch down. And the Rays have another man in scoring position. So on top of that, now in 7 of the 8 innings they've had base runners. They've had runners in scoring position. So far, 4 runs on 10 hits for the Rays. And that is strikeout number 2 of the inning. Murray out number 2.
A couple strikeouts here from Hampton. Similar pitches. Both look like either a cut fastball or a backup slider. Can't tell, but they've both been up in the zone getting the swing and miss. Or I should say foul tip.
Here's Greg Jones. He's spinning out of there in a hurry. 1-0. 2 balls, no strikes. Two and one.
You see that little cutter right there. Hampton doing a good job locating that pitch. It looks like he's throwing that pitch a little bit more accurately than he's throwing his fastball. Fastball sitting around 92, 94 miles an hour. That cutter coming in around 89.
Jones fouls this one. 2-2. Originally drafted as a shortstop, now listed as an outfielder on the Rays roster because of his infield background. He can play just about anywhere. Well, he was a top pick for the Rays, switch hitting infielder. And now getting time in the outfield. Count is full. And contact has been an issue for him from time to time. Three-two, and he draws a walk, and the throw back to second into center field. Sabe is going to go to third, and the Rays will have men on the corners.
It looks like Basabe might be down after that slide. Hoping nothing goes wrong here.
Yeah, especially with him battling for a spot. And he is some depth for the Rays. But face down there at third.
Yeah, not a sight you want to see ever, especially in spring training. Looks like he might have to come out of this game. And I assume it happened on the slide.
Well, the Rays will get a runner for him, but the first things first, they are concerned about his condition as he's stretched out there on the bag at third base.
Starting to move around. That's a good sign.
Yeah, he may have collided head first to the edge of that bag.
Yeah, hard to speculate. And hopefully we'll get an angle right here. You see it. First of all, the throw gets airmailed in center field. So he dives back, sees that, and wants to run to third base. Right here on the slide, I think, is where face plant looked like is what happened. Yeah. can see just the dirt kind of holds him up right there. Face goes directly into that clay. That's not a good feeling. Hoping he's okay.
So he will depart. Hinojosa will run at first base for Basabe.
Always scary when you're talking about head injuries or potential head injuries, so hoping Basabe is okay.
Well, it's good to see him walk off that way. A little shaken, but walking off under his own power. Line shot off the bat of Ruben Cardenas. And he is third out here in the eighth. A hot shot. Rays leave two. They lead by two. It's a 4-2 ball game. We're headed into the ninth inning. Rays with single runs, as you see in the sixth and seventh, to retake the lead after getting off to a 1-0 lead early, and so they've out-hit New York 10-5, leading 4-2. What a pleasant day.
Diehard stay until the end.
Yep.
Want to see the victory. See the Rays pull it out.
Well, we go to work here in the ninth inning. First pitch is lifted foul, and that's going to be out of play down the right side for a strike.
Jeter had a chance at that one. Looks a little different since retirement. But he had a chance. It was right in his hands, Dwayne. You know, the wind is tough, though.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, the wind is tough. Not an easy catch.
Yep.
Yeah, give it to him. Oh, he's upset with himself. See, he's giving himself an error.
Max Burt with another chance. And the cut and miss. 0-2. Alex Cook out there on the hill for the Rays. 1-2. And that will be out number one in the ninth.
Well, Alex Cook flashing a nice fastball right there. That one up to 96 miles an hour. Coming out of the bullpen, throwing strikes.
And now Jeter Downs. One out, base is empty. There's 96 right there, pretty firm.
Yeah, there you go. Sitting 96 right now. Ball coming out really well, especially early in spring.
0-2. And a near miss right there. 1-2. Swing and a miss. So he takes care of Jeter Downs, and back-to-back strikeouts here in the ninth inning. Alex Cook has gone right to work.
Yep, that one up to 97 miles an hour. You see where Driscoll wants it right there. Absolutely perfect pitch from Cook.
Elijah Dunham at the plate. Pitch is down. That's fouled out of play. 1-1. The Rays an out away from picking up a victory 3-1. On the ground to first. The Rays are going to win this one, a 1-2-3 ninth inning. And it's a 4-2 final. Got him out on the ground ball to Shinton at first unassisted, and the Rays win it 4-2, 4-10-0 for the Rays. 7 left, 2-5-1 with 3 left for New York. Gomez going to get the win, and Cook, who was impressive, will pick up a save. Ramirez the loss. 2 hours and 21 minutes the time of this one. And the Rays go to 2-1 in the spring.
Yeah, like what we saw from Tampa Bay. Really nice. A few good games out there. I thought, the arms early in the game were really impressive. Zach Littell right at the top of that list.
Well, that ends well. Rays are 4-2 winners. They go 2-1 on the spring. For Doug Wechter and the rest of our crew, Dwayne Stamps. Hope you've enjoyed the telecast. Rays a win in the spring. So long from Port Charlotte.